What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? AJ Good here at the House of Masks, where we unbox and review cool stuff almost every single day. And in today's video, we are going to be ranking my top 5 favorite Joey Jordison masks. That is right, this is a new series here on the channel that I am absolutely going to follow through with, because for some reason I start new series all the time and I never finish them. This series started when I did a top 5 West Borland's look video, and it actually did really well and it was a lot of fun to put together, so I decided to start applying that to Slipknot masks, and we already knocked out number 0, Mr. Sid Wilson, and that got a really positive feedback. One singular positive feedback. A positive feedback. That video got some positive feedback is what I was trying to say. So anyways, today we are going to be ranking my personal top 5 favorite Joey Jordison masks, and surprise, surprise, I'm pretty sure they're all going to be self-titled and Iowa masks. So this is completely unscripted. I have not picked these out in advance. Everything that you are about to hear is off of the top of the dome here at the place that the masks call home. I figured you guys would already know, but it'll be on a tombstone if I wrote it. Tunchi. So we are going to be starting with number 5. This is my least favorite, top 5 favorite Joey Jordison mask, and it's gotta be the Stitch Mouth. Yes, the Stitch Mouth. The OG, probably the most infamous Joey Jordison mask of all time. When you think of Joey Jordison, you most likely think of this mask. And really, the only reason that I'm including it on this list is because it is so well known. This took up a very large portion of the self-titled era, especially when Slipknot started to blow up. So it is in tons of magazine features, photos, interviews, you name it. Joey Jordison probably wore this mask for it. And I also have a somewhat sentimental connection with this mask because I have literally placed the real mask on my face. Shout out Mike Covert. My buddy owns the real deal, and I have held it in my hands. I have held it in a shadow box, and the most recent time that I got to be around and see that mask, Covert actually let me place it on my face, which is pretty cool. So it's not my favorite looking mask, however, it is pretty much the quintessential Joey Jordison mask, especially for those earlier years when he was just painting onto Caesar masks. This is the Joey Jordison mask. So at number 5, I have to include it. It's just the right thing to do. The original self-titled Stitch Mouth mask. Number 4, we have the Bloody Iowa. Again, not one of my personal favorite masks when it comes to the aesthetic of the mask, but I just absolutely respect this piece for what it is. This is the first glimpse of Joey that we would get for the Iowa era, aside from some masks that were actually reused from the self-titled era, and it was definitely the most different Joey Jordison mask out of all the Joey masks that we had seen thus far in Slipknot's career. To see a mask that actually had blood on it and not some sort of weird tribal design, I don't really know how to explain the first set of self-titled Joey masks, because they really did just have like weird tribal-esque kind of war paint, almost indigenous Native American looking. And then this mask comes out of nowhere and it's a very clean, polished, professional looking blood drip mask. Again, not my favorite look appearance wise, and it almost doesn't fit the Joey aesthetic because all of the other ones were so similar while being pretty different. This one was just a straight up like Hollywood looking mask, especially for being on a Caesar. Regardless, I have to include it because it was the first time that Joey had really kind of stepped out of the box with his paint jobs, and that in and of itself is enough to make me want to put the mask on this list. I can definitely still remember seeing the Iowa promo shots on different pieces of merchandise for the first time as a kid and just thinking, wow, what a different type of Joey mask. So number 4, the Bloody Iowa Joey. And that leads us right on into number 3. We are halfway there, and I've got to go with yet another Iowa mask, the Left Behind Stitch Mouth. Now, speaking of things that I will never forget seeing for the first time as a child, the Rolling Stone cover that absolutely made me fall in love with this mask. To this day, it is still not aesthetically one of my all-time favorite Joey masks, but there is just something about nostalgia and these lists, and that Rolling Stone cover in particular definitely solidified the fact that this mask was going to be one of my all-time favorite Joeys forever. Not only did that cover in particular make me fall in love with the look of the mask, but my second ever Slipknot replica mask mask was a Left Behind Joey. Now, the same guy who hooked me up with my British civilian duty gas mask around the age of 5 or 6 also gave me a blank white face mask. It was this really weird, squishy, kind of vinyl, almost woman-looking face, but it was a blank white face mask similar to Joey's, and I was stoked nonetheless. Now, when the Rolling Stone cover came out, I decided that I really wanted to replicate that paint job on that mask, and my mom actually had Matt, the same guy that gave it to me, come over with some Sharpies and do the design on the mask so that I would not ruin it, which I definitely would have. Now, not only did I have this Left Behind mask for all sorts of stuff, but I ended up taking it to Ozfest in 2004 and wearing it for that show and getting it signed by some Slipknot members later on. So, coolness points for nostalgia's sake on my end, but also some coolness points for the fact that this was actually a fan-made mask that was given to Joey. The levels to this thing are like an onion. Now, originally we only knew that a fan was wearing this mask in the front row of the crowd and it had no red on it, but later on some footage leaked of Joey actually walking up and exchanging something for that mask. And you can see him walking off stage with that mask in his hands, and obviously before the Iowa era, Joey added some red around the black tribal designs, and we ended up with what we've come to know and love as the Left Behind mask. So due to nostalgia's sake and also some coolness points for how that mask originated, I've got to add that one to the list, and pretty high up on the list as we are midway already. Number 2, the Lip Dot self-titled mask. This is the mask that I was the most obsessed with as a child. During my entire childhood, anytime I got a new blank white mask, this is the design that I would try to replicate, and it was all because of this photo. I absolutely love this photo. If I ever get a Joey Jordison tattoo, I will be getting this exact photo because it is just so good. The mask is so simple and so perfect, and it really makes me wonder like how Joey even thought to come up with this design. It's the perfect mix of like zero effort at all and ending up with the most perfect thing you've ever seen in your life, which is like the story of a lot of self-titled masks. We as collectors and as artists try to painstakingly replicate these things that were probably done in 10 minutes on a tour bus. And for some reason, that shit just turned out perfect. So I'm absolutely obsessed with this one. There's not a whole lot of photos or videos of the mask in this state, but I think Joey hadn't really started using nail polish yet. He was more along the lines of like eyeliner and mascara, which tends to run and fade and smear pretty quickly, especially as he's dumping water on himself or headbanging and his hair's hitting the mask. So we don't have a whole lot to go off of with this one. However, that image has stuck in my brain the entirety of my life. Since I was 5 or 6 years old and I first saw it, I have been obsessed. So definitely number 2, and that moves us right on in to number 1. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a runner-up that is neither a self-titled or an Iowa mask, because I think that's only fair. Just because I prefer these masks over the rest doesn't mean that other people out there do, and I do want to include something that is out of the norm on my list and something that I do really appreciate genuinely. I just don't appreciate it nearly as much as most of the self-titled and Iowa masks that Joey wore. With that being said, it's gotta be the Volume 3. I love the Volume 3. I think that it was a great transition from the crude and hand-done ones that Joey had done for the self-titled and Iowa eras, and it was just a slightly sleeker and more professional look that still hadn't quite lost the feel of a Joey mask. Obviously, it was a major upgrade, if you want to call it that. I don't know that I would, because I still obviously prefer the look of the earlier masks, the cheaper masks, the one that Joey put his little heart into. However, I do really appreciate Joey's entire aesthetic for the Volume 3 era, so I'm not going to pick out like the gray one or the one with the silver beads or the original black and red one. Just the Volume 3 Joey in general. Really appreciate that mask, and I think that it's very nice. So there's my runner-up. Now we are on to number 1, the finale. And this will come as no surprise to people that are pretty familiar with my videos and my Joey videos in particular. I've got to go with the Karang Awards Joey, or the Gods of Metal Joey, or whatever you guys want to call it. That's what we call it, Karang Awards or Gods of Metal. This is just the perfect Joey mask to me for a multitude of reasons. Not only is it the most aesthetically pleasing, I just love the way this mask looks, It's just fucking pretty, dude. It's haunting, and it's feminine, and it's spooky, and it's pretty, and just all the nice things that I could possibly say about it. I know that I called the Stitch Mouth the quintessential Joey mask earlier, but that was just in terms of like when Joey used it and how Joey used it and how we remember it. But I also think that this is the quintessential Joey mask in terms of aesthetics. I just think that the design is absolutely perfect. But aside from how it looks, it was also used during the coolest time in Slipknot, and it was used for 2 record cycles. So we kind of have a repeat of the last list video with Sid Wilson's masks, because not only did Joey Jordison use this for the Tattoo the Earth and the World Domination tours, which are easily the coolest little eras of Slipknot ever. The perfect mesh between Iowa and Self-Titled. They were raw and hungry and evil and mean, and it was just a perfect time for Slipknot. And clearly that is definitely a Self-Titled era thing, but Joey also used this for Iowa. So not only did he use it for Self-Titled, he used it for Iowa. We all know those are the best 2 Slipknot record cycles ever. So it's cool to see a mask that is not only the best looking mask, but it was also used for the 2 best records. So hands down, absolutely 100% the Karang Awards or Gods of Metal Joey is my all-time favorite Joey mask. And that will do it. That is my list, my top 5 favorite Joey masks ever. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Go ahead and give me your top 5 favorite Joey masks, and I will meet you down there to discuss it. With all of that being said, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope that you guys have enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up down below. It definitely helps the channel. This has been AJ Good here at the House of Masks, telling you to say no to drugs and alcohol and yes to Joey masks, and we will see you guys in the next one.